Come Away With Me, Part 5. Have you ever had a special night planned with someone you love and it just didn't work out the way you expected? Or have you ever said to yourself, well, that didn't go as I'd imagined, when a dream you've had for a while took a different turn? In this quick bite, we're going to look when this happened to the Shulamite in Song of Songs, as a continuation in this quick bite series, Come Away With Me. So, here's our key text again in Song of Songs. The Shulamite, I sleep, but my heart is awake. It is the voice of my beloved. He knocks, saying, open for me or to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one. For my head is covered with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. I have taken off my robe. How can I put it on again? I have washed my feet. How can I defile them? My beloved put his hand by the latch of the door, and my heart yearned for him. I arose to open for my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with liquid myrrh on the handles of the lock. I opened for my beloved, but my beloved had turned away and was gone. My heart leaped up when he spoke. I sought him, but I could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer. The watchmen who went about the city, they found me, they struck me, and they wounded me. The keepers of the walls took my veil away from me. Song of Songs, chapter 5, verses 2 to 7. The Song of Songs is a rich, passionate yet mysterious account of how the love relationship between two people developed at the time of King Solomon's reign. However, we're not studying this from the literal historical context, which I plan to come back to another time, but we're rather drawing out of the text the applicable parallels as they relate to us in our relationship with Jesus. From this point on, therefore, I'm going to refer to the Shulamite as the bride and the beloved as the bridegroom. The context here is that the bride is she's deeply in love with the bridegroom, and she longs to be with him. She cannot stop thinking about him even at night. Although she sleeps, her heart is awake dreaming of him. And then one night, in particular, she hears him approach and knock on her door. This is the moment she's been waiting for. Remember, she is sick with love, her heart yearning and faint. And then finally, her beloved has come and asks her to open to him. But is this really the moment she has longed for? I ask because her response is a curious one, and it immediately suggests something's not quite right here. Listen to her words in verse 3. I have taken off my robe. How can I put it on again? I have washed my feet. How can I defile them? Well, that's a strange reply, isn't it? Personally, I find it hard to accept the commentator's view I have read often on this verse, who each seem to see this as revealing the bride's reluctancy to get out of bed, or a delayed response to the bridegroom's visit, and suggest, therefore, why there was no one outside when she did finally open the door to him. Now, far be it from me to dismiss what others have said on this. especially since Song of Songs does lend itself to different interpretations. Instead, I'll just offer my own understanding here and let you decide. It's one in which I believe is consistent with the context and flow of the Song of Songs narrative. As I've mentioned, I do struggle reconciling this besotted, lovesick bride being reluctant to get out of bed or move so slowly the bridegroom simply gave up waiting for her. That's difficult. I suggest this was not about her reluctancy to be with the one her soul loved, but where she wanted their encounter to be and the nature of it. What do I mean by that? Well, I suspect when the bridegroom came, there was something troubling in what he said to her. He was stood outside her door covered with dew and the drops of the night, saying, "Open for me," or "Open to me." Other translations have it. But it wasn't just what he said, but the impact it had on her. We read of this later in verse 6. "My heart leaped up when he spoke." The word for leaped is Strong's H3318 and means to go out, to come out, to go forth. And spoke is Strong's 1696, meaning speak, declare, command, promise, warn, threaten, or sing. Now, a number of translations don't use either leaped up or spoke. But I believe these two words do help us to understand the meaning and context of this whole passage. The NIV and the CSB, for example, uses "my heart sank," whilst the NET reveals and reads, "I fell into despair." However, other translations do include both these words, like the YLT, which says, "My soul went forth when he spake," or the NHV, "My heart went out when he spoke." There's a cause and effect here. The bridegroom speaks, causing the heart of the bride to go out to him. The bride speaks, and her heart is called out to him. Not that she was in despair or that it sank, but it went out to him. Like we say, my heart went out. My heart went out. Hers went out to him. Ultimately, we will do well not to read too much into this single verse, especially in Song of Songs. Rather, we need to take the context into account and look at what else is happening to help us form a consistent and uniform interpretation that makes sense. That's why I struggled to accept the bride's lethargy in this passage, because we know she was desperately in love with him and longed to be with him. For him to then arrive during the night and be turned away just doesn't sit right with me. Is there something else from this passage to help us get a grip on what's really taking place here? Well, I believe there is. It's easy to miss, and we've already seen it. The bride's response wasn't just about being naked, but she also said, "I have washed my feet. How can I defile them?" Bible students will be familiar with the custom of washing feet upon entering a home from the dirty, dusty streets outside. But the thought of defiling them within her own home, in my opinion, is misplaced here. In other words, she understood her bridegroom was calling her to come outside with him, and that's why her feet were in danger of being defiled. To me, she wasn't saying, "Come back another time." Rather, "I'm not dressed to go out with you into the night. I am clean and I've taken off my garment, wouldn't you rather stay here with me? Dear friends, this is such an important point for us to understand, and why I've taken some time to unpack this. True intimacy. It is not ego-centric or a one-sided affair. If that be the case, there is a real danger of the bride becoming narcissistic. But if we really want, if we truly desire closeness with Jesus, we have to leave the comfort of our making and follow him out into the night. This is the question the bride needs to be asking. How can I prepare to follow my beloved into the night, since I do not know what awaits me there except for the drops of the night? There is a maturity in love we must embrace, a willingness for adversity and suffering, but it is there, into the darkness of the unknown, that we are now being called. Can you hear him? Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away with me. Like the Shulamite, we may have had our own ideas, our own dreams and visions of how we want our relationship with Jesus to work out. And he's loving enough to come to us, abide in us. But what of our response to him? What if that response should require our absolute surrender to him, whatever the cost? Oh yes, how willingly to him we have opened the door of our hearts, allowing access to our deepest part. Are we now as willing to enter the door to the depths of his heart? Because it is there that we are now invited. How can we prepare for such an encounter? Well, I'll answer that next time.